Whenever you're ready.
All right, we're going to get started. Stacy, you want to give some others more time to come on in?
Looks like we're almost to 300 and we're right on time. So if you want to get started, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Well, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us. My name is Ricky Serna. I'm the Acting Secretary for the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions. A little bit later, you're going to meet a couple colleagues who are going to assist with going through some of the content on the slide deck here, and of course, later on, assist in answering some of the questions that you may have about the work search requirements. That's going to be the heart of our discussion this evening. We're going to try and provide as much information as possible to ensure that you understand the requirements associated with work search and that you're also prepared for providing that information onto the claim. Before I go on any further, I did see a chat pop up with a comment about sound. Can someone in the room perhaps provide a chat? Can you all hear me? All right, we got a lot of yeses. So Dirk, maybe you want to drop off and then come back in. Got a lot of yeses. All right, good. That'll work. Thank you all. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and resume. Stacy, if you want to hit the next slide, we can get going. So I think one question that we want to answer for you all, of course, is related to timing. Why now? Why has the department begun to resume work search requirements for claimants? We believe, of course, that resuming work search requirements is timely given the current broader state reopening that is now underway, which is a result, of course, of a decline in COVID spread and positive data that suggests we are working very well with one another to mitigate the spread of COVID in the state of New Mexico. The successful rollout of the state's vaccination strategy, of course, is integral to ensuring that we reach the vaccination goals set by the state's leaders and are better equipped against COVID. And then, of course, the broader reopening allows for more New Mexico employers to expand their reopening efforts, which, of course, includes bringing more staff back to work and hiring for new positions. So, of course, we work very closely with our counterparts throughout the state and the governor's office, and we wanted to be sure that resuming work search requirements falls in parallel with what employers will be doing relative to public health orders and how they impact their ability to operate. It's also important to note, right, that federal extended benefits are scheduled to end in the first week of September, which means that at this point, it's important for claimants to create that off-ramp for what will happen after these programs expire. And it provides an opportunity for those of you who are interested or will engage in career exploration, skill gains, and other training opportunities to complete those opportunities before program benefits expire. So that in a nutshell is the reason. We really want to remind you all of some very important dates, one of which is already behind us now. We resumed work search requirements on May 9th. In the days prior, you as a claimant likely received notifications from the agency that you were to begin recording eligible work search activities. The next date on June 6th is the time at which you will be asked to enter your work search activities during your weekly certification. And in a little bit, Anne will show for you all the screens, what those screens will look like when you'll be presented with those screens during the certification process. It's not a very time-consuming process, and the intent is to prepare you for capturing and having available the information that you'll need so it doesn't impact your certification or your benefits. On July 4th, many of you are aware with what is called the quarter change for unemployment insurance applicants. If you are on PUA, PEUC, or PEUCA, you'll be required to go in and complete the quarter change, right, which is a link available to you on your claim. On September 4th, is the last day of federal extended benefits, and those programs are PUA, FPUC, PEUC, and PEUCA. So there again, looking ahead, the resuming of work search requirements is really aimed at creating that off-ramp for claimants to either begin the process of securing work or the process of workforce development efforts and skilling up and workforce training opportunities. And then certainly on September 5th will be the last week for certification of those programs that will be exhausting. So please be sure that you pay attention to those dates, and we of course will be making this video available online for those that aren't able to attend. And for those of you that are here, if you want to access those dates at a later time, you may. All right, so let's kind of dive deeper into what work search means. As we said, beginning May 9th, we of course sent out notification that work search waiver was being lifted and that all claimants were going to be required to conduct at least 2 work search activities per week. And by all claimants, we mean, of course, all claimants in all programs, whether you came into those programs as W-2 wage earners or self-employed gig workers. The requirement, again, is 2 activities per week that should be verifiable. And in a little bit, we'll go through those activities and some examples of what you might do to provide verification that they are done. It's important to note that after June 6th, after you begin to provide work search information within your claim, the agency performs what are called work search audits. They're spot audits of claimant information provided to ensure, right, that the work search activities are authentic. It's important to note that you can conduct multiple work search activities with the same employer, of course, provided that you're applying for 2 different jobs or, for example, at 2 different locations. So I think it's important for you to note that if you're going to be looking or trying to secure employment with a single employer, so long that you're doing that for different positions, then that's allowable. So here again, searches must be reported on weekly certification starting on June 6th. So on June 6th, Sunday, when you all go in to begin certifying for the week of May 30th through June 5th, you'll be prompted to provide information about your work searches. And again, we'll show you those screens in a bit. Something to note on the front end, and we'll dive deeper into this a little bit more, is registered workshops offered through the New Mexico Workforce Connection Centers and/or New Mexico Workforce Solutions can be counted as work search. And in addition to the workshops provided, there are going to be a number of other activities that we'll go through to show you what the alternatives are. Important to note that just by calling a New Mexico Workforce Connection office without actually obtaining any services does not count as a work search. So we need to be sure that the interactions are taking place with our career consultants if that's the resource that you so choose to get assistance with. Claimants are required to keep a log of the completed work searches, and that's especially important now through June 6th, but then after June 6th, having that information on hand when you complete your certification is going to be important. It'll be equally, if not more important, for you to have that information on hand if you are going to call into our operations center to conduct your certifications weekly. That's because the agent who completes your certification will need that information to complete the certification on your behalf. So whether you are self-service certifications online or conducting certifications with the help of our operations center, you'll need the information on your work search to certify weekly beginning June 6th. That information includes the date that you made that contact, the type of work that you were seeking through that contact or through each contact, the work search information such as the contact's name, the job location, contact person, or the website address, for example, associated with that work search activity, the type of contact and type of information such as phone number or web address, and the result of that contact. For example, if you applied for a job and the job has been filled, you'll provide that as a result. Or if you've applied for a job and the search is still underway, you could, of course, provide pending as the result of that contact. When applying for employment online, we encourage that you save the date stamped acknowledgement or even the screenshot to be able to provide verification if your work search is selected for an audit. And it essentially, right, provides us with verification that your applications are being submitted successfully. So those red bullets there include the information we need for you to be logging on a weekly basis. Those not completing at least 2 work searches per week, and keep in mind again that a week is from Sunday through Saturday. And then each Sunday, you'll be attesting to work search activities for that prior week. So those not completing at least 2 work searches per week will be notified that their benefits could be impacted in the future if work search requirements are not met. And you'll need to provide the reason for not meeting the compliance. So it's important, of course, for you all to recognize that the work search is a federal and state law requirement for unemployment insurance claimants that was waived temporarily as a result of the pandemic, but is now resuming for all UI claimants. Not meeting this requirement could certainly have an impact on your future benefits. All right, there are 3 exceptions to the federal and state requirement of completing work search, okay? A waiver exception will be provided only if one of the following applies. First, if you're an active member of a union with a hiring hall or referral hall. 2, if you are in an approved training program, such as a Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funded program or a Title I program. Or if you have a reasonable assurance of return to work, okay, within 4 weeks, all right? And there again, a letter must be signed by the supervisor, manager, business owner, attesting to that assurance of work within 4 weeks. So for those of you perhaps who have been furloughed or laid off temporarily, it'll be important to contact your employer to determine if the 3rd exception to work search is applicable, right? If you are expecting work within 4 weeks. So what is suitable work? This is important, right? We want you to be sure that we are not trying to back you into a position for which you are overqualified, or for a position for which you'll be, or for a position where you'll be highly uncompensated relative to your previous work. So this slide is intended to provide you with information about what we consider suitable work. That, of course, is work for which you meet the minimum qualifications, right? So you're not overestimating your capacity to obtain a job. Work that offers hours that fit within your availability to work. So, of course, if you are offered employment and you don't accept because the employer requires that you work nights or weekends, and that is something that you're unable to do because you have children, then it could be considered not suitable. But we encourage that you understand what those hours will be prior to applying, so that you're not applying for jobs that you cannot accept if offered. And that's really important, because there are mechanisms for employers to report when an individual refuses work if they're aware that those individuals are on unemployment insurance benefits. So if you apply for a job that offers nights and weekend hours and you're unable to accept that work, if the employer offers that job to you and you don't accept it, they could notify the department, right, of your refusal to work. So it's important that you understand that when you're applying for jobs. We also want you to understand, right, that it's important for that job to be in a geographical area that you can reach. Again, like the second bullet, you want to be sure that you're not applying for a job that requires a relocation or significant travel and commuting, because there again, if you refuse the position after it's offered to you, then that employer could notify us of the refusal. You want to be sure that the work offers compensation rates within a reasonable range from the last occupation. So it's important for us to understand that reasonableness. And I understand that there would be an expectation that if you were earning, $50,000 a year prior to receiving benefits, that you'd want to receive at least $50,000, now. Well, we're looking at reasonableness, right? So if there is a reasonable range, lower or higher, of course, than what you were making before the pandemic, then we'll consider that suitable. So it's important for you to become flexible, right, in reasonable variance from what you may have been earning pre-pandemic. And then, of course, an offer from work for your previous employer is considered suitable work. And there again, if your previous employer calls you up and lets you know that your job pre-pandemic is now available, if you refuse that offer, again, that employer could notify us that you've refused that offer, and you may perhaps be not in compliant with the requirement, right, of the work search requirement. The refusal to work requirement is that if you're offered a job, a suitable job, that you accept it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Anne, and she's going to go over the next couple of slides.
Thank you, Ricky. So this is a couple of screenshots of what it looks like when you go into your claim to certify. You see the basic questions, and at this point, well, until recently, all you had was the basic questions, review and submit. Now you'll have the option, you'll select work search. It'll ask you how many work searches you did. It'll give you the week. So it always gives you the week. You remember, you're only answering those questions for that week. And I went back a little bit to set this up, so that's why it goes back to 4.4. It'll ask you if you did none, one, or two or more work searches. You're definitely, more than welcome to do more than two. And then you'll select next, and it'll take you to this screen where you'll enter the work searches. And as you fill out all this information, save the work search. It'll give you the option to enter the second one, save that one also. Again, you can enter more than two, but we're looking for the information for the date that you made, obviously the contact, what type of work, who the employer is, again, and we went over that a little earlier, but it's showing it right here. I use the website URL for this one just so you can see that's exactly how you can put it in. That's fine. And then what was the outcome of it, right? So there's a drop-down menu. You could pick from no response, the applied. This also covers the local office contacts that you're making for resume workshop and those types of things in the local office, the workforce connection centers. So you'll be able to use those too. And the information changes depending on what type of job or what type of contact you are making. So that'll update as you change it. So, and then again, there's two, and then you'll move on to the next screen.
Thank you, Anne. And what I want to point out is by June 1st, the department will publish a video on its website and YouTube channel on how to complete a work search verification on the certificate during your certification. So what we'll go ahead and do before June 1st, again, ahead of when those screens will become available on your certifications, that you'll be able to access on our YouTube channel and on our web to better understand how to click through and respond to each of those questions, right? So now I want to provide an expansive list of the acceptable work search activities, okay? First, of course, is applying for jobs online using our jobs.state.nmdws or our jobs page, or any other type of online jobs board that's of interest to you. So applying for jobs on our jobs portal, you'll see the website there, or on any other platform is acceptable, and using the virtual recruiter tool to receive alerts about new jobs. Now, certainly the Nmdws jobs program provides a alerts, and then so do others. That's the first allowable activity. Certainly applying or interviewing for a job that meets the suitable work guidance that we discussed earlier. Completing a skills assessment required as part of the application process for any job. That's important. So completing that skills assessment and completing that the application process would account for your work search activities. Contacting an employer who you reasonably may have available suitable work to inquire as to whether the employer is hiring, right? So a formal correspondence to an employer, for example, via email, inquiring about whether that work is W-2 wage work, hourly work, contract work as a self-employed individual. That formal inquiry with an employer that you reasonably believe could offer work is an allowable activity. Completing a job referral by a state workforce center, right? So if you're working with any one of our New Mexico Workforce Connections offices and career consultants, completing a job referral, which is essentially meeting with a consultant, identifying a job for which you're a good fit, and then being referred, you actually meeting with that employer on that referral would constitute acceptable work search activities. Adding a resume to an online job board, mailing a job application and or resume as instructed by a public job notice, and creating a reemployment plan with the state workforce center or other entity which provides similar services, right? So again, if you were to complete any two of these during a week, they would satisfy the work search activities for that week you're certifying for. So if you do one and another, that's two. They aren't weighted, meaning that if you do one of these, it counts for half, or one of these counts for two all on its own. Any one of these would constitute one acceptable work search activity. We have more on the next slide. All right, engaging in documented use of online career tools, looking for a verifiable activity, participating in state-sponsored or other professional job-related education or skills development. So again, going back to the timeliness of resuming work search activities is allowing for that off-ramp whereby claimants could participate in skill development, workforce development opportunities, or other relative trainings, all right, that may assist in obtaining suitable work. Creating a user profile in a professional networking website, right? So if you've never before used a networking website, for example, LinkedIn, going in and creating that user profile, which is aimed at attracting attention to your credentials, then certainly that would be an acceptable work search activity. Again, participating in work-related networking events such as job clubs, job fairs, and that includes both in-person and virtual, or any other employment-related workshops, again, in either person or virtual platform. Participating in reemployment services offered at the various state workforce centers or other locations where such services are provided. And for more information, you can contact the Workforce Connection Center. They provide resources, including using labor market information. That labor market information is important in understanding what occupations and industries are in demand currently and are going to be in the future. Participating in reemployment services designed for job seekers. Participating again in skill assessments and occupational matching, which means assessments that align your interests and your past history with occupations, and participating in any instructional workshops offered by DWS or a Workforce Connection Center or similar service provider, such as resume preparation and enhancement, interview skills, job search techniques, workshops that assist in resume or letter of interest development is what I mean to say. So those types of activities, again, each one would constitute for an acceptable work search activity. Next slide, please. Now, many of you on the call may be on the PUA program, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which is primarily offered for self-employed or gig economy workers. So we, of course, wanted to provide some guidance to you all on allowable or more relevant work search activities. So again, reiterating that all claimants, regardless of what program you're on, is responsible for conducting work search activities and beginning June 6th, providing that information during certifications. Some examples of the things self-employed or independent contractors can do to obtain work include, all right, and this isn't exhaustive, letting your customers or past clients know that you're reopening by posting on their social media platforms, right? So any outward faced marketing that provides your potential past customers and clients with information on when you're reopening, or that you are open and that your services are available to procure. 2 is contacting past customers or clients, actively advertising on reasonable platforms. You pass out business cards or flyers, again, as part of advertising the services that you provide, reaching out to potential clients, obtaining required permits or licenses associated with the work you do or intend to do, if you don't already have them. Review any current contracts and research new ones or the likelihood of securing new ones, including RFP searches or requests for application searches. Submitting bids on those contracts, or preparing a bid on a contract. And of course, research in preparation for a specific contract or enroll in training to expand your skills that perhaps may advance your success as a self-employed individual, right? So these are examples. What, of course, you may be asking is, well, what happens if the work I'm doing is not available? For example, if you're an artist and you typically generate revenue from sales at in-public showings, and those in-public showings are not being offered yet, then of course, doing any number of these things is important, but also applying for other types of jobs, including W-2 wage jobs, can of course satisfy your work search requirements, all right? You must actively search for employment and document a minimum of at least 2 work search efforts a week. And that includes, if you're on PUA, applying for W-2 wage jobs. Next slide. We want to be sure that you're provided with resources, so we'll make these available, right? The first, of course, is New Mexico Workforce Connection online system. Not only does this system provide you with information on jobs with employers that actively seek our assistance for recruitment, but the system pulls into it nearly every single job that's available in the state that is currently being advertised online. One-on-one assistance, right? If you would like one-on-one assistance with the New Mexico Workforce Connection Career Specialist, we have created a toll-free single line access if you are unable to reach a local office, or if you're not located near one, you can call 800-303-3599. The link there to the local offices not only will provide you with the office locations, it'll provide you with information on how you can schedule an in-person appointment with one of our career specialists. And that, of course, includes scheduling some time for you to go in and utilize a computer for completing the work search requirements. Information on apprenticeships is available at that link. Of course, apprenticeship opportunities are best described as earn and learn opportunities, whereby you are obtaining the skills both in the classroom and on the job while being compensated for mastering those skills. We do provide weekly workshops on soft skills, resume writing, how to conduct interviews most effectively, and you can register for those at the link provided there. The only caveat is that we do have a 100 participant cap to allow for maximum participation. Resources for parents who need assistance with childcare as a part of returning to work. Visit the NMECECD, a state agency website, and click on Am I Eligible? Or you could call 800-691-9067 for more information on how you can determine eligibility for childcare assistance, all right? You can also, of course, just go directly to our job site at for the state of New Mexico. That is the State Personnel Office. Is www.spo.state.nm.us. The state of New Mexico is is advertising for multiple positions with multiple agencies across the state. And certainly we encourage you to become a member of the state of New Mexico. All right, additional resources. Again, we are going to publish this recording along with a how-to video on how to complete work searches on our YouTube page. So you can find there instructional videos on how to upload resumes and work search and search for work using our online system. We also have published past town halls, for example, one on higher education opportunities in the state of New Mexico. And then, of course, we've done presentations for employers and employees alike on COVID-safe practices so that you're best prepared to return to work in a very safe manner. We also want to encourage you to participate in our Hot Jobs program. It is a page, a resource page that was developed in the heart of the pandemic for employers who were ramping up and hiring in the middle of the pandemic. So that program, Hot Jobs, is still available on our website where you can connect with employers by region. And then certainly we provide you with job fairs and employment events at wws.state.nm.us. You can go to find information on various job fairs and employment events taking place across the state. If you are an employer and are on the call, we also want to make you aware of the online resource for reporting individuals who are refusing suitable work, refusing to return to work. And you can make those reports directly on our website. That link is provided there. So if you are an employer and are having difficulty with the acceptance of suitable work, you can notify the agency on that link. You can also do so, I understand, on your employer, on the employer portal for you. So that in essence are the resources. The next slide, I believe, Stacy, is really just centered around, again, that notion of soft landing or for a lot of individuals who are really looking to skill up, train, pivot in your current career pathway. There are critical industries across the state that are looking for individuals in the field of healthcare, education, construction, and IT. And one thing I want to point out in particular for education is the Public Education Department has been doing a tremendous amount of work around translating your work experience and your degrees into opportunities for alternative licensure work in the state of New Mexico for public school districts. So please take some time to research that. Education skill building is key, right? 97% of jobs created since 2009 require higher than a high school degree, but not necessarily a college credential. So again, there our career consultants can assist you in understanding what type of skill development or trainings are necessary for these types of jobs. And because many of these occupations are going to be in demand, the Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act provides resources, financial resources to provide you access to these trainings at no cost. So please be sure again that you inquire with our career consultants about the opportunity to utilize WIOA dollars for training and educational opportunities. And then of course, the state of New Mexico public post-secondary institutions offer a tremendous amount of financial aid opportunities for those seeking higher education training or credentials. So please see the higher education town hall video that we have available on our YouTube site. All right. So what I want to do now is open it up for questions, and I'll let Stacy explain how you can get your questions over to us so that we can do our best to answer as many as possible.
And I see many of you have been doing this, so you can just go ahead and put a question in the Q&A, and we'll be asking you those questions. Please keep it to work search and anything that you might have questions on regarding that. And let's just dive in here. So can you explain how if somebody's in the WIA program or Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, how do they share their documentation that they're in that program when they do their certification?
Great, and that happens automatically. I'm gonna hand that one off to Michelle so she can explain how that process takes place for the claimant.
Thank you, Secretary Cerna, and good evening, everyone, on this viewing town hall. With those individuals who are in a training program, what we will do is we will send a letter to the Unemployment Insurance Division explaining that you are a participant receiving funding for training or schooling. So at that point, your unemployment insurance requirement to do work searches will be waived. And we do take care of that for you through the WIOA program. There is a direct contact. We do have a direct handoff to make sure that when you are registered and you are receiving those that eligibility, that unemployment insurance does know, and that you do not have to do your work search because you are in an approved training program.
Thank you. The next question is, I live in a very rural area in Ruidoso, New Mexico. How can I find employment?
Sure. So what's key now, I think, is the access that we have tried to provide for New Mexicans across the state through the 1-800 number and through virtual career consultations. The other benefit, right, of what we've been going through over the past 14 months is the increased number of opportunities available to New Mexicans for remote work assignments, right? For example, the state of New Mexico is one of the major employers who offers such opportunities. So we would ask, of course, that you work with a career consultant. You can utilize the 1-800 number for a phone consultation, and that phone consultation could lead to a virtual interaction with one of our career consultants who could really target employment opportunities within your city, your region, or opportunities across the state that provide virtual work experience.
Okay, the next question is, so do we need to submit 6 jobs on June 6th since work search started May 9th?
Great question. No. Beginning June 6th, you will need to provide work search activity information for the week prior, beginning May 30th. So on June 6th, you will begin by providing the information for the 2 work search activities conducted for the prior week.
Thank you. Next question is, what about claimants that are still employed but on call or reduced hours?
Wonderful. Anne, I'm going to hand that one off to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So if you are still employed and what we call underemployed, you're under your weekly benefit amount, so you're collecting some benefits. You might want to talk to your boss, the owner, the manager, and find out when they think they'll be getting you back to what you were normally working full-time. Full-time in New Mexico is 32 hours a week, and see if they could get you a letter to be able to upload to us. Otherwise, you will have to do the work searches because this is getting people back to work, back to the level, hopefully the level they were at before all this started, or at least as close as possible.
Great. Thanks, Anne. And then again, Anne, can you describe where on their claim they would upload that letter in addition to letters indicating that there's an assurance of work 4 weeks?
Absolutely, and thank you for asking, because I wanted to say that. And when you go in and do your work searches, it's gonna ask, did you do your work searches? You'll say no to that if you've got a letter that says that you're gonna be returning to work within 4 weeks. And then what it does is when you say no to that, it creates what we call fact finding. A screen will come up that allows you to fill out why you didn't do your work searches. And when you fill that out and you submit that, when you go to the next page, it'll ask you if you want to upload any documents. Upload that letter if you've got it. If it's a soft copy, it's easy to upload. If you don't have a soft copy to upload when you're certifying, ask it'll ask you if you want a cover page to upload the document or mail it in. And if you want a cover page, you'll be able to go in and pull up that cover page, fax it to us, or mail it in to us. But if you can upload that document right away, the process is a little faster. We'll have that information right there. And as long as everything meets, then we'll be able to clear you for those benefits for the 4 weeks. But it's when you're doing the certification itself as to when you'll get those documents that you need to upload.
Great, thank you. The next question is, what if I'm planning on returning to work in education as a substitute in the fall? It's more than 4 weeks away. Do I still have to complete the work search?
Yes, you do. Unfortunately, the only 3 exceptions, right, are the ones that we provided. So now you'll need to continue to do qualifying work experience, but you'll need to be sure if you haven't secured work up until that point that when you're within 4 weeks, you could provide information about the exception.
Yeah, and this one falls in line a little bit to that last question. What about those who choose to return to college? Do they still have to do the work search?
Yeah, that's a great question. Anne, is that going to fall under the qualifying training program?
Unless they're in WIOA, they will not qualify for work search waivers.
Okay, great. And that's a really important question, right? So the idea that you're transitioning to a post-secondary institution where previously you were working is really the issue there. So unless the program is approved WIOA program, then you'll have to continue to do work search.
Great, thank you. Next question. If you're taking care of a disabled child not vaccinated yet, do I still need to apply for jobs weekly?
Yes, you'll need to complete your 2 work searches a week under those circumstances.
The next question is, do positions that are work from home count?
Absolutely. If you apply for jobs that are providing remote or telework assignments exclusively, work is work. If you are applying for those jobs to work in person or remotely, then they constitute work search activities.
Thank you. The next question is, I started looking for work in May. Can I include those also, even if they weren't actually in the exact same week?
No, the work search is you're going to provide that work search information that you're going to provide each Sunday beginning June 6th must have occurred in the prior week.
Okay, the next question is, I believe we answered this in the presentation, but it might be worth reminding. What about PUA recipients? I closed my business temporarily during the pandemic, and it will take 6 to 8 weeks to get client projects underway.
Right. So again, some of those, yes, you'll need to conduct work search activities. Keep in mind that we've provided some examples, right, of some of the work that you'll be doing in anticipation of that, right, as allowable work search activities. So please revisit the list of activities we provided specifically for PUA to determine which of them ahead of your opening, right, constitute work search.
Next question is, I'm currently on lockdown in my reservation where they have my own business. I do plan to reopen, but I don't know when they will lift the lockdown order. Do I still need to search for work?
That is an incredibly precarious situation there. And I don't know if you have a response to that, or if we could research it perhaps and post information to that effect, understanding that there are likely some other communities in the same situation.
Yes, absolutely. So USDOL has set a rule in there that if you cannot work because you meet one of the requirements when you certify weekly, and that is one of them, right, is that you're unable due to not meeting federal guidelines or state, or we could add reservation to that since it's considered federal. So that's what you would want to look at is, do you meet one of those criteria when you certify weekly as to why you cannot do your work searches? And we will look at that and make a decision on it.
That's a great question, Stacy. If you want to kind of pull that out and maybe add it to an FAQ, that would be great.
Absolutely. And just let everybody know that we probably will not be able to get to everyone's questions, but we will take note of all these questions and keep looking at our FAQ on our website, as we'll update that regularly. And the next question is, how do we submit proof of attending a workshop? Does it have to be specific to NMDWS, or could it be other online workshops?
Great question. So again, the screens are going to walk you through the information that we need on that workshop, and we'll ask for you to maintain records, a screenshot, for example, the date and time, an email confirming your participation, whatever you believe, right, would help us verify that you did in fact attend is what you need to retain for your records. When you come in to complete the work search, the screens will walk you through what information you need to provide on that activity.
Are vaccinations required for employment?
That'll vary by employer, right? There may be some occupations for some employers that may require the employees to be vaccinated, but that's not, the response to that is not a broad across the board expectation. It depends on the work you'll be doing and the employer.
Thank you. And the next question is Workforce Solutions hiring?
Workforce Solutions is hiring, yes. And if you visit the spo.nm.us website, you can sort by agency preference. And certainly the Department of Workforce Solutions is there. And we'd be very excited to see your interest.
Thank you. The next question is, are we able to use computers at the New Mexico Workforce Connection offices? And if so, when do they open?
Sure. Michelle, you want to take that?
Yes, thank you. We are allowing for computers to be used for work search in our Workforce Connection offices. It is by appointment, and you can go to our Department of Workforce Solutions website and go to our office locations tab and actually request an appointment. And we will get back to you within 24 hours so that we can schedule an appointment for you. Or you can call your local Workforce Connection office and make an appointment.
Thank you. Sorry, 1 second. What if your Workforce Connection advisor did not have a referral for you?
Right. Well, the interaction, right? What's important is the meaningful interaction. Michelle does a really good job of explaining that. So I want to go ahead and let her answer that question.
Thank you. I just want to explain that I highly recommend using our Workforce Connection offices or calling the 800-303-3599 number. And we're gonna, this of course is in the presentation. But our main objective is to give you meaningful assistance as you look for work or look at career exploration or look at funding or training maybe for a new career. So what we will want to do is really be able to give you an assessment, be able to work with you, register you in our system, be able to guide you that if we don't have a job referral for you, that we will be able to give you meaningful assistance in something that will help you get that position you want, or will help you start getting that training or work experience as far as maybe on-the-job training. So I'm highly encouraging that you use our Workforce Connection offices or call our 800 number. So that way we can personally speak with you, personally help you, and give you that meaningful assistance, which will count as a work search. And again, talking to one of our consultants, working with one of our consultants, that is going to be something that is verifiable. We know that you've talked to us because we will put that in our system that you reached out to us and that we helped you. And that will count for one work search.
Thank you. The next question is, what if you had surgery and you're not able to return to work yet?
Sure. In addition to the work search requirements, one key requirement for receiving unemployment insurance is being able and available. Therefore, if able and available essentially means if somebody were to call to provide you with suitable work, that you'd be available to accept it and able to accept it. So if you're currently on unemployment insurance and unable and unavailable for work, then that is an eligibility that's an eligibility issue that needs to be addressed first and foremost, but it does not exempt or accept, it does not create an exception from work search requirements.
Thank you. The next question is, I am on Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, or PEUC, but I should have been on PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. Can I work search under the PUA requirements?
Any work search that you do to secure work that is eligible, then it satisfies the work search requirements. If you are a PUA claimant who is self-employed and are now going to be working in a W-2 wage job, allowable. If you were previously in a W-2 wage job and want to become self-employed and you engage in work search activities, eligible work search activities, then acceptable.
Thank you. Next question is, if your business was not able to open, or if you can't continue to open, do I need to look for a W-2 job?
If you are electing to not return to operating that business, then looking for work for W-2 wages is the option.
Thank you. So again, if I'm working part-time and receiving benefits, do I still have to do the work search?
Yes, and what Ann stated earlier, right, is we consider full-time work 32 hours per week. And so providing documentation from your employer on when you can expect to be employed at that level would be critical. But it's also important to note that if you're currently working part-time, it's essential that you report those wages during the weekly certification as well.
Thank you. The next question is, what if we have moved out of state? Do we just report work search in a new state?
Yes.
Next question is, sorry, I'm looking, we have a couple of repeat questions. So again, I think you just answered this, but what if I'm waiting for a job to open with Albuquerque Public Schools at the beginning of August?
Right, same there. If it's outside of 4 weeks, then you must complete the work search.
Next question is, on the contact type on work search log, do you still use the in-person and phone call contacts for work search?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, Stacy? That's
Sure.
okay.
So it's asking on the work search log, do you still use in-person and phone call contacts to count as work search?
That information is necessary to complete the work search. It's not the only information necessary, but that information is necessary when completing the work search.
Next question is under the table work acceptable as work search?
Well, under the table work is earning wages, and so if you're earning any wages now, you must be reporting them on your weekly certifications, whether you're paying taxes on them, whether you have an employer. It's important that to maintain eligibility for unemployment insurance, that you're reporting all wages earned in the week prior when doing certifications. But no, it does not constitute as an eligible work search activity.
Next question is, I'm still waiting to receive benefits as I have a pending issue. Do I need to complete the work search before I get those benefits?
No, so a couple of things there, right? So you do need to complete work search to be sure that not completing work search creates a secondary issue. We want to be sure that once we're able to resolve that primary issue, that with the completion of work search, with the ongoing certifications, that your benefits would resume as deemed eligible for.
Okay, the next question is, I am an actor currently with my union, but there is no local hiring hall. How will I show that on my certification?
Great question. Anne, can you take that?
Absolutely. So if you're with, if you have a union hiring hall or a referral hall, right? So, and if you're in the local 480, there's another one out there, and for the life of me right this second, I can't think of the local number. And you are in good standing with them. then if you're getting the weekly certifications rather than that, you have to do your work searches rather than the waiver because you're in that union. The first week that you certify and report that you didn't do your work searches, you'll tell us why. We'll call the union, verify that you're in good standing with them, and set you up on a union waiver. That's a different waiver. We'll get you on that waiver so that you don't have to do your work searches since they do them for you, basically.
Okay, the next question is, do we need a job number as well when adding the job applied for? And then can we use other websites like Indeed to apply for jobs?
Absolutely. You don't need the job number. You can provide that information. It'll help with the verification process, but you can use other job boards or other job tools.
May I add just a
Please.
quick reference to that? Thank you. I want to add that if you are applying online to a business or, Target, Lowe's, it doesn't matter. If you're applying online, there is usually a message that is kicked back saying that your application was successfully submitted. So the best thing to do is either print that or screenshot it so that you can keep that as proof. It is date and time stamped. So it's great to have as a verifiable work search. So if you are applying online, again, just make sure that you keep something for your records that shows that your application was submitted successfully.
Thank you. The next question is, we are in a band. Is contacting bars, etc., counted as a valid contact?
What was it? They were in a band and what was the contact? I'm sorry.
If they're contacting bars or other areas to book a performance, probably, does that count as a valid contact?
I think that it's really, we've got, as long as that process is formalized and documented, recall on the slides, right? Formally contacting an employer or an organization that is reasonably looking for your assistance is an allowable work search activity. So formally or conducting that outreach formally would not only help with the verification process, but would help ensure that that activity is allowable.
Thank you. Our next question is, if you apply for a job with an employer, how many weeks must go by before you can apply for the exact same job with the same employer?
Great question. I think if they repost the same position again and you reapply for it, that's allowable, but I'm going to let Anne chime in on that as well.
Yes, so it's kind of a gray area to some extent. We say that you could check in on that application, but after 2 weeks, so you apply for the job, a week goes by, another week goes by, you could check in on that application as a work search, but we don't just allow you to check on that application every week. So, and then hopefully if they repost it, then you'd be able to apply for it again as it comes up. But you could check in, but not reapply.
Thank you. And our last question here is, how long do we need to save screenshots or documentation if we are audited?
I would imagine, right, that no longer than you're on benefits. Are there any audits done after program exhaustion, Anne, or coming off of benefits?
No, we do not. We don't. Just hold on to them while you're on unemployment.
Great.
Okay, and we've reached our time, so please be sure to come back to this. This will be posted on YouTube later, and we appreciate your time. And Acting Secretary, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No. Again, we're hopeful that we're being as clear as possible. I think that we'll go through the questions and be sure to answer any that we believe are going to be broadly applicable. Thank you for joining us. We wish you the very best on job search and finding a job that you're going to appreciate for a long time. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to presenting you responses to the questions we just couldn't get to this evening.
Thank you so much.
We lost Ricky already.
Yeah, we did.
Are we off?